Chris Paul. Chris Flamethrower Point God Paul leads the Phoenix Suns to the Game 6 victory to close out the series in a very entertaining, surprising first round 1-8 matchup. We're going to break it all down. We're going to give our thoughts, and then we're going to add some stuff at the end of the show. We're going to kind of do this live stream a little differently. I'm going to add some things and make this pretty entertaining. But I do want to start off the show by introducing my guest and friend, Super Mario Hoops 24. It's been a while, man. How you been?
Yeah, been doing pretty good. Been watching the playoffs just like I think everyone else. It was going pretty good until yesterday when the Bulls got eliminated, but it is what it is. We kind of got screwed at the end anyways with like Levine and then Caruso, and Lonzo was already out. So, I mean, it was going to happen, but I'm doing good. Now I can watch the playoffs again stress-free at least, so that's good.
And you guys were also kind of robbed by injuries all season long. But shout out to everybody who's in the chat. Shout out to my guest, Super Mario Hoops. I just want to quickly start off this live stream. I know that there's no excuses and I got to play like a champion, but I want to explain why I haven't really been doing much live streams during the playoffs. If I'm correct, last year I did a playoff live stream for every game. But unfortunately, as I've always said on this channel, real life comes first. Nothing bad's happening. I'm very blessed, you guys, but I've just been crazy busy, and sometimes that busy schedule gets in the way of these live streams. And but I'm going to do my best. I'm going to try to step it up for round 2, and I'm going to try to do more live streams. And when we go to the Western Conference Finals, I'll definitely be doing live streams. So we're going to break down this entire game, give our thoughts, talk about the stats and facts, and like I said at the end of the show, we got some fun stuff. I haven't done too much drinking during this series, although I kind of got a little drunk after that Game 4 loss and everything. But I think tonight I deserve it. I don't know if you have anything to drink, Super Mario Hoops, but I feel like I deserve to crack open a beer after that incredible Chris Paul performance. So if you guys got drinks, let us know in the chat. Let's get this live stream started, and cheers.
Cheers.
Also, Super Mario, is that a new mic? Have you always had that mic?
It is. That's a pretty
it sounds so clean on my headphones, man.
Yeah.
Alrighty, man.
Kind of get a crispy, kind of like crispy flakes. Like
that's like my guy right there. I love crispy flakes.
Trying to be like him.
So as I said during our pre-show, I was pulling up the numbers. I honestly didn't know the Suns shot 60% in this game. Now, shout out to the Pelicans too. They shot 50.6%. This was a really high scoring game, lots of offense and everything. So what were your just takeaways, your thoughts? What is your reaction to this game, Super Mario?
Yeah, I think it's pretty interesting, like how both teams shot like really well from the field, like you just said. I mean, the Suns shot great. I mean, 60, 40, 94 splits. I mean, that's insane. Yet, like, it seemed like a pretty low scoring game by that standard. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. Like, it just felt kind of weird. But yeah, obviously, like, started off like how most Suns games start off, where Deandre Ayton's like getting it going. And it kind of helped because like early on, Valanciunas was in foul trouble, I believe.
Right.
So, he was kind of able to have his way. Chris Paul obviously is, the man of the day. I don't want to like sound bad in saying this, but like I think Chris Paul like just plays weird sometimes. He does, because like, okay, so for me, like coming into this game, and first of all, seeing like Devin Booker came back, I'm like, okay, well, obviously Devin Booker didn't have like a typical Devin Booker game. He did hit that clutch shot near the end though, like that 3.
That was amazing.
But for me, it's like this is the perfect opportunity. Okay, most of the times, like early in the game, like it's about getting everyone else involved, and then Chris Paul and Devin Booker take over late. but Devin Booker kind of has it going like most of the game. Like
Right.
this would be like a great time if I was the Pelicans. I would game plan for, okay, they're gonna start off like getting Ayton involved, and they're gonna kind of ride like with Booker in the middle part of the game, and then close out mainly with probably CP3. But I think if Chris Paul would have, he only took 4 shots in the first half, and he was obviously doing just about everything as good as he could. I feel like if he could have been maybe more aggressive early on, like this game would have been over like earlier. Um, but I mean, he did have it going, so I'm not gonna like obviously fault him there. Like, dude had the most makes of like for a single player in a playoff game. Um, and I was actually checking too, like as we were going on. So he ended up with the 7th highest true shooting percentage in a single game in playoff history, be-
Uh-huh.
behind only Brad Davis, Bruce Bowen, uh, former Suns, PJ Tucker. Actually,
Hey,
James Jones is on there too. Um,
really?
yeah, Damon
Wow.
Jones and Maxi Kleber. And the thing is that
Maxi
Maxi Kleber,
Kleber.
that game was actually last week. Like it was game 2 of the Jazz Mavs series. Um, but all those guys won their game. And then the 3 guys below them, the only other guys above 100% were like Larry McNeil,
Hmm.
Alan Crabb, and Alan Anderson. All those guys lost their game. So I'm like, this is like it's like falling right in between there. So I'm like, is he gonna win or is he gonna lose? And that's what was kind of the funny part. Like I was kind of tracking like when going on, but yeah, I mean, he simply had it going. I will say too, I think CJ McCollum might be the first guy I've ever seen hurt both teams in a game. I mean,
No pun intended,
I
right?
mean, quite literally, like he had what he picked up his 5th foul with like 19 minutes left in the game,
Yep.
and then uh, he literally like,
Herb Jones was
clubbed.
in foul trouble too.
He clubbed Cam Johnson too, um,
I
which could
did
have
want to get
honestly
your
been,
opinion on that. Look,
yeah.
let's be real. CJ McCollum's not a dirty guy, and he does a lot of work for the NBA, and he's got a podcast and everything. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. That, in my opinion, was kind of like a maybe caught in the moment foul. It was definitely dirty, but I'm not going to sit here and call CJ McCollum a dirty player. But what did you think about that?
I mean, like the way it came across, like it seemed pretty dirty. There have been a lot of plays like that though in the series. Like you could look at like Herb Jones jumping into
Yeah,
Ayton earlier,
yeah, that was bad.
or like his back and forth like with CP3, like
Yep.
some of the plays with Alvarado. Like
Oh yeah.
there's a lot that you could look at like for this series as a whole, but I don't think he like because I think even Cam Johnson, like after he got up and stuff, like he was like yelling something at CJ, and CJ
Yeah.
was kind of like brushing it off, like I didn't
Yep.
mean to do it. So I don't think he meant to do it. Like he's a pretty chill guy.
And
So
like you want to stop the ball or stop the play and everything, but it was they were going so fast but still that was a little rough. But
I mean, yeah,
uh,
like transition stuff like that is hard. Like
yeah.
I don't, you remember the play way back in the day with Kurt Rambis
Oh yeah. And Kevin
and
McHale like
Kevin
clotheslined
McHale,
him.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That was like a 99-cent version of that.
yeah, I mean, it wasn't even close to that, and still
Hmm.
people reacted.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah, they were
yeah,
like all like surrounding Cam Johnson, which that is one thing I love about the Suns team is when one guy hits the floor, they all run over. But then someone must have said something, and there was a little scuffle and everything. And yeah, that was a dirty play. But I just kind of want to give my thoughts real quick. Like I said, it was a lot of. It's funny because I think at the end of the first quarter, I want to say the Suns were shooting about 60%. They obviously went on to finish the game shooting 60%, which is insane. It was a lot of scoring. I mean this respectfully from both teams. I feel like they were kind of feeling each other out in the first quarter because that second quarter, the Suns struggled to score. Monty Williams talked about this, how, there were so many points in the paint. We were turning the ball over. They were killing us on the offensive rebounds. I don't even want to look at the rebounding numbers right now. I'm scared to look at it. I thought Booker looked okay in the first quarter, especially. He played like 7 minutes. He only had 2 points, but I thought he looked okay. Maybe we'll talk about how Devin Booker looked later on. But like you mentioned, he did hit that clutch 3, which was kind of one reason I did want him to play, because I was like, you just use him as a decoy, and that decoy worked. He was just standing there in the corner and just drained the three. But man,
Yeah.
this was a ball game. It was a lot closer than I wanted it to be. And when Chris Paul went on that little run, and I want to pull up the numbers, I hope I'm not getting any of this wrong. He had at one point, I think the Suns went on like a 17-6 run. He had like 13 of those or something like that. He was 6 for 6 at one point, and every shot was just beautiful. You know, just coming off pick and rolls, just getting the shots and spots that he wanted, and just shooting with just so much fucking confidence, man. Didn't matter who was in front of him. He used all those years of experience and just all that practice and everything. Chris Paul, I think I texted my friend. I'm like, Chris Paul's pissed, but in a good way. Like, he's like, I'm done with this series. Like, I just want to end it. And that's what we saw tonight, man. Chris Paul was just absolutely incredible. And then another thing I noted, I think the Suns outscored the Pelicans 34-27 in the third quarter. I think. And if they did, that is absolutely huge, because the Pelicans killed us this series in the third quarter. I don't even know the numbers, but they outscored us, and they did a whole bunch of other stuff. They were great in the third quarter. So, and you know what? I made a whole video with our friend Reliable Rants. It was like a live stream, and I clipped it and everything. The Pelicans deserve so much credit. I know a lot of Suns fans probably
Yeah.
hate Jose Alvarado and everything now. Brandon Ingram killed us all series long. Let's be real. Willie Green, when he was like tearing up, you know, when he was like embracing Monty Williams and Chris Paul and all them, that got me right in the feels, man. Um, Incredible series by the Pelicans. They deserve so much credit, and their future's got to be looking bright. And I haven't even mentioned Zion yet. So shout out to
Yeah.
the Pelicans, man.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, Chris Paul obviously was gonna have a crazy game,
Yeah,
because it's like kind of like do or die in a sense. Like you don't want to go back to Game 7 where really anything could happen.
seriously.
Um, and I mean, he seemed like I don't know if you saw like when they interviewed him after the game, like he actually like
Yeah.
seemed really emotional because like this is where he started in
Yep.
New Orleans. Well, technically Oklahoma City, but like, this is where he was at like first, was New Orleans and um probably his best individual regular season there. But I think like I mean you saw it last year like when he was against the Clippers in game 6, a chance to move on to the finals, never been there before, and he had like an insane game, which would probably I would say it would be his best game of his career, which is kind of crazy to say because it's like so late into his career.
Right.
Um and I mean, I would probably say this is second. I mean, like, I guess like the moment like wasn't quite the same because like you lose, like you still have a game 7. It's against the 8 seed. They're missing Zion anyways. It's like they just got Booker back, so it's like yeah, they still should get it done. But going 14 for 14, like who does who does that?
Yeah. It's insane.
Especially like a guard. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like if Ayton went 10 for 12 today, but if he went 12 for 12, people probably wouldn't be talking about it as much, even though he did hit a lot of jumpers today. Like I was kind of surprised. I think actually early on they showed a stat. Might have been like middle second quarter or something, or end of first quarter. The Pelicans were outscoring the Suns like 18-2 in the paint, and this is after like Ayton had already made like 4
Thank
jump
you.
shots.
I that was a stat I wrote down. I was like, dude, we're getting killed in the paint, man, and really kind
Yeah,
of all series in a way. I mean, kind of. Suns have been okay in the paint at times, but feels like they've been killing us in the paint.
yeah. I mean, I just think like with Chris Paul, like I don't want to like take stuff away, but okay. So I saw at halftime the Suns had taken like 35 shots, and six players on the team had taken between like 4 to 7 shots, whereas the other team, the Pelicans, they had taken 47 shots mainly because of the rebounding, but they didn't have as many people taking even 4 shots on the team. I feel like they were trying to like get their rhythm more. And once, guys like Mikal Bridges started getting more looks and like obviously Chris Paul took 10 shots in the second half, like they started to pull away. I feel like it's a game of like getting your rhythm.
Yep.
So like I mean, that plan will work against the Pelicans, but like will it work when we get further down the line against the Milwaukee Bucks or like the Warriors or whoever they play. And I don't know if it will. That's the only thing I was like seeing from that
I'm glad
perspective.
you brought that up. And somebody on Twitter who I think used to work for the Suns brought this up. He said something along the lines of like Chris Paul and Ayton are doing their thing, but everyone else is like struggling to score and everything. A lot of this series felt unbalanced for the Suns because we saw all season that any night our bench could win us a game. You know what I mean? This series, it didn't really feel that way. And, we saw like in game 5 how Campaign had like 7 points and all of a sudden 3 fouls. He was playing out of control and just certain players struggle. But then there were times where like JaVale McGee would play very well in certain games and help win us the game. But this was a very unbalanced series for the Suns. So I totally agree with you. And then you were talking about Chris Paul, and I want to read you a stat that I wish I would have come up with myself, but ESPN Stats and Info does incredible work. In the process of clinching the series against the Pelicans, Chris Paul made all 14 of his shots from the floor, including both the regular season and playoffs. The only player with more makes without a miss in a playoff game in NBA history is Wilt the Stilt Chamberlain. Insane. And you mentioned, because
Yeah.
Chris Paul's obviously a guard, that is absolutely huge, historic night. And again, I'll go back to when, I think it was third quarter, maybe 6 for 6, 13 points. I think that's when we kind of knew Chris Paul's going to have a special night. He there was a few shots where I was like, oh, I don't know if that's going to go on. That's a heat check. And they just kept going in. They just kept going in. And it didn't matter who was guarding him. It didn't matter. It did matter on the look, but he just got his looks and it kept going. And he was just absolutely incredible, man.
The only I think the only game I can think of where like someone made more shots even in the regular season or playoffs recently it would probably be that Gordon Hayward game. Like remember when he shot like 16 of 16? I think it was with Boston. Um but I don't even think he took like a 3, and I think he was mainly
Right.
getting downhill.
Yeah.
So like seeing Chris Paul, and I know he's taking like short mid-range and stuff, but like a lot of them were like pressured situation too. Like, and this is a playoff game, right? So it's like, if you lose, you're going back to game 7, and I don't think anyone wants to be in a game 7. Not even the freaking Sixers, even though everyone thought they were gonna choke a 3-0 lead today. Like they said, nah, like we're not allowing it. But yeah, I mean, props like you said, props to the Pelicans. I can't remember a time where, um, I mean, honestly, like one of the closest time might be the Suns, like 4 years or 3 years ago. Um, like where a team got multiple like rookies that were playing like so well. Like, you know what I mean? Like they got
Yeah.
Alvarado, they got Trey Murphy, and they got
Herb Jones.
Herb Jones. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's 3 guys that are gonna be there, I think, for a while. And then
Oh,
you
yeah.
got Ingram, you got Valanciunas, Zion's not even back, and
Yep.
then Larry Nance, I think he's a perfect role player.
Yep.
Um,
He
Jackson
was
Hayes too.
great in this game, I thought. He was
Yeah.
so active in this game. He was bouncing everywhere. I think at one point he had like 5 offensive rebounds. Like, let me see what he finished with.
He
Larry Nance,
finished
21 minutes, 5
yeah.
for 9 from the field, 8 rebounds, 6 of those were offensive, and 15 points. He's a nice fit, man. Like they stole him away. And I'm telling you guys, like, I think the Pelicans have a few draft picks to play with. So they're playing with house money, man. You're right. Like Herb Jones, Alvarado, and Trey Murphy, they're going to be around for a while. They're going to lock those dudes up.
And the one
Zion's
thing, I was
good.
gonna say the one thing about, Larry Nance that was most surprising is he went 5 for 5 from the free throw line. Like,
Yeah.
he hasn't really shot that great, I feel like, this year. I'm trying to pull it up, like, how well he shot in the season. Um, well, that's preseason. Uh, so he shot 70% on the year from the free throw line, which is not bad, I guess, for a forward, but like that's probably the guy you want to foul at the end of a game if he's in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I agree with that. I'm just reading some comments here. People are like, "Geek, you're right. I should be more positive, but it's very hard." Iverson vlogs, the Suns live streams with any other. They wouldn't be the same without you, man. Even with your negativity, but we love you, man. Mike says, "I'm crying." Willie and Monty's moment. Yeah, that was a great moment. David says, "How am I supposed to choose between this and the Suns Jam Session podcast?" Well, David, as long as you're watching one of us, that's like watching both of us, man. We appreciate you. We
Well,
appreciate everybody that's in here, man.
that's something else I was thinking of. Like, I think I might have been talking about this with Romp actually, like about Willie Green and like the way that he was kind of in some of the games, like had Alvarado and Herb Jones, like in a way, kind of like frustrating Chris Paul. Like, I feel like he's definitely like one of those guys. Clearly, you could tell like that he has passion for the game at the end. I mean, when he was like emotional and in tears and
Yeah.
stuff. But like, this is a guy who's played with Chris Paul in New Orleans. He played with him in LA for like 3 years.
Yep.
And like 2 of those years, he was like a primary backup guard with him. So like, I'm sure they did a lot of times where it's like, all right, the starting unit is going to go against like the second unit, and we're gonna like run through plays. We're gonna run against so and so. Um, so I'm sure he had to guard him a lot, like
Excuse
back in the day, like in practice. So I'm sure like clearly not today because Chris Paul was like going off and you weren't gonna be able to stop him. But I think like you could at least like kind of wear and tear on him. And that's another thing I think a few other people were saying. Like, I think at this age, I know like Chris Paul is probably going to be more selective, like when he's going to be aggressive and stuff. So maybe like that's why he wasn't like early on in the game, but like he's going to still have these games where he looks like the same Chris Paul. You know what I mean?
One thing that scared me going into this series was just the fact, like you mentioned, with Willie Green and the history with Monty Williams and Chris Paul, but also that he was our assistant the last 2 years. So this guy knows us inside and out. And you saw at the end of the game, all the Suns, well, I think most of the Suns players went over and embraced him and were talking to him. Dude, Willie Green exposed all of our secrets to the Pelicans. I mean, I would if I was the coach and then went to go coach someone else and that was my old team, I would do the same thing. And I was like, dude, like, even if we're playing really good basketball, like Willie Green's going to expose us, man, and he deserves a lot of credit. Just that whole, I cannot give enough love, and I know that again. I know that a lot of Suns fans probably hate Alvarado right now, but they got to tip their hat to the Pelicans. Willie Green's a great coach. He proved that time and time. I can't even talk. He proved it over and over again this season. I mean, they started 1-12 and then won 35 or more games, and they fought and scratched their way into the play-in tournament, and they deserve to be that 8th seed. And yeah, they're such a great
Well,
team, man.
I mean, like, okay, so they definitely played deserving like an 8 seed, but I feel like the play in like this is something else, but like I feel like the play in like there has to be like a way that the players like remember the first year when they had the Blazers and Grizzlies and they said like you have to be within 2 games for
Yeah.
there to actually be a play in. Like I feel like if they're gonna keep the play in, they got to do that because like imagine being okay, so like the Sixer or the Wolves and the Clippers played, and then obviously one of them had to lose. But like imagine being 6 games better than a team and then it all ends just because of like one game. And especially like Paul George got freaking he was in protocol like that day. Like, you know what I mean?
The only thing I'll say about the playing tournament is the Timberwolves won like what 40 something games this year. They shouldn't be in the
46.
playing. Yeah, they shouldn't be in the playing
Yeah.
tournament. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So that's all I gotta say about the playing tournament. But
Yeah, it's just like there's got to be like a barrier. Like if you're maybe within 2 games or so or 3 games, like, well, probably 2 games because the team that one team's going to win two, one team's going to lose two. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So I think that probably makes the most sense. But I mean, I think obviously the Pelicans showed that, this core like kind of turned it around the way like not exactly the same, but like a similar sense to like Boston did like
oh
halfway
yeah,
through the year.
absolutely.
So
I could talk
like,
about how great Boston's been. Well, recently, and
yeah.
Ime Udoka, their coach, deserves so much credit, man.
And they were over 500 like after
Hmm.
that 1-12 start. I think they were actually equal with, the Clippers their full year. But I think like, it's an 82 game season for a little bit. Like I always say, for example, like when Giannis won his first MVP and it's like James Harden the first month and a half of the season was starting off slow and then everyone wanted to give it to him, but it's like Giannis has been doing it all year long. So I don't know. Like that's just like what I think about the play-in tournament. But I mean, the Pelicans did play better than your average 8 seed did, anyways.
Exactly. And again, like I'm telling you guys, go check out my channel, find that Pelicans deserve a lot of credit video because me and Reliable Rants, who's the biggest Brandon Ingram fan you'll ever meet, talked all about him. And even just on this, we've been live 25 minutes now, and Pelicans deserve a lot of credit. I do kind of want to dive into the numbers here, and I kind of want to start off with a question that Coda Kid asked. At one point, does Monty run the offense through DeAndre? I guess he probably meant to say fully through DeAndre, because we saw a lot of times throughout this season and throughout the series where DeAndre Ayton would have a great first half, and then I don't know if they go away from him or maybe the defense steps up on him. I thought DeAndre Ayton was pretty good tonight. I'm not sure. I might get your opinion on how you thought he looked offensively, or excuse me, defensively, because he only did have 7 rebounds tonight, but he did have 22 points on 10 for 12 shooting, and he played 40 minutes tonight. And his mid-range shot, it is just he's nearly perfecting it. Every time he shoots that mid-range, it looks like it's going in. And sometimes it's ugly, or he'll like spin, take a little bit of contact, and still shoot it. It just goes in. He has been practicing that over and over. So I guess you can answer Coda Kid's question, or you can just, what did you think of DeAndre Ayton tonight? And what did you see from him defensively? I mean, I know he was trying out there, but we got killed on the boards, man.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is kind of tough too, and it's like, you know, kind of both the big men like on the bench didn't really do much today. Like
Yeah,
JaVale McGee,
McGee, he
like
didn't play
3
that
minutes,
much.
2
Yeah.
fouls.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was kind of not great.
I thought
Biombo was
Biombo was fine, but he didn't play enough.
Nah, he was bad. He had like 3 turnovers, 2 fouls, and he only played like 5 minutes. And they went on a big run, like I think when he was in. Um, so I don't know. Like I can understand, I guess, like that's a lot for Aiden to do. Like he's kind of the only true big man out there
Consistent.
for most of the game. Like he played like rounding 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Only guy that played more than him is Iron Man. Um, so yeah, but I don't know. Like I thought offensively he was good. Like I said, like his jump shot was falling. And like you could tell like he's definitely been working on that too. So, if he keeps hitting that mid-range game, like maybe 15 to 17 footer, it's only going to make it harder to defend him as well. But defensively, I did see like a few things. I feel like, I mean, it's too late to do this like right now, like for this season, but like in the off season, like I think he needs to like bulk up a bit because like he was kind
Because
of
he
like,
got killed by Jonas Valanciunas, who's built
yeah,
like a
like
tank.
Valanciunas is you can tell like there's a big strength barrier between the two of them, and like every time Valanciunas would like post up on him, he'd just kind of like lower his shoulder and like turn over his one shoulder. He'd get like wide open looks. Um, so if I'm Aiden, like that's probably one of the biggest things like I'm looking at in the um summer or whatever. Maybe like I mean, Biombo's pretty jacked. If they hold on to him, like maybe they go work out together or something. I don't know. But yeah.
Um, I gotta interrupt this conversation. Shout out to my guy Cody, who was generous enough to send over a $5 super chat. He says, "Show Sons Geek some love and support by Hulk smashing the like button." Guys, you can tell I don't do these live streams that often because I don't even think I told you guys to Hulk smash the like button yet. Share the stream, you guys. And at the end of the day, the best way to keep supporting me is just to keep watching. And I appreciate your support. Check out my guest Super Mario Hoops channel as well. After the stream, I'll make sure to link your channel. I meant to do that sooner, but thank you, Cody, for your generosity. Totally did not have to do that, but shout out to you, man. Thanks for the love. But yeah, I mean, I thought DeAndre Ayton was great. The dude is super motivated, and if he can just show up out of 9 out of every 10 playoff games, we're going to win a lot of playoff games. But there's lots of Suns fans that really do think we should be running the offense through him. Now, I don't know about 100% of the time, because we have seen Ayton have some great first halves, not so great second halves. He just needs to be a little more aggressive, I think, on the boards. Use that big body of his, bulk up a little, like you mentioned. But yeah, DeAndre Ayton, I thought
Well,
he played great tonight. And again, I'll say this: we don't win a couple of these games if it's not for DeAndre Ayton. I'll just say that.
yeah, I think he's definitely going to be an X factor
Yeah.
going forward. I would say I I think personally, like last year, up until like, the first 3 rounds, so like the conference playoffs, he was probably the best player on the Suns. Like because he was
Facts.
really good like the first 2
You're
series.
talking about last year's, right? Like last
Yeah.
year's. Oh yeah,
Um
absolutely.
against the Clippers, I mean, he wasn't as good as he was against the Lakers necessarily, but like he was the most consistent, especially like when Paul went out and then he struggled like when he first got back. Against the Clippers until like that last game. And then he even had like the shoulder injury against the Lakers. And then, Devin Booker, he had his moments where he was up and down. Like the Clippers series, it was, a little bit like that. But like Ayton was consistent all the way through.
Yep.
And then once the finals came around, he really still didn't play that bad. It was just he had the Giannis assignment, like kind of on an island. And they didn't really give him any support. So yeah, I think like he's definitely going to be an X factor for him going forward. And like I said, if he's hitting that mid range jumper, it's only going to be harder to stop him. It adds more to his game. Um, but yeah, just got to get stronger.
So I wish I could pull this up, but my account isn't upgraded. I don't. Let me try something real quick. Oh, okay. I can't pull it up on the stream, but because my account, can I do this? No, I can't even do that. I can only show videos, which is weird. You can like show videos, but you can't like show pictures through StreamYard. But anyways, so I don't know if you saw this, Super Mario. I don't know if these were employees that got in with these particular t-shirts on. And I posted this on my Twitter, and I even tweeted the Pelicans account and
Oh, I know what you're
all
talking
that.
about. Yeah.
Two people were wearing these FJ Crowder shirts that were made that they put on and somehow got into the arena with them. And somehow the Pelicans let them in. They were probably employees or family of somebody, because there's no way you could have gotten in with a shirt like that, in my opinion, anyways. First off, I think that stuff is childish, and the fans, probably most likely the bandwagon fans that were at one point chanting F Chris Paul, which that is true. It was confirmed by multiple people and media members that they're chanting F Chris Paul. These fans got in with an FJ Crowder shirt. We heard the FJ Crowder chants a few different times. Me personally, I think that's childish. And it's fine to heckle. You can heckle and talk trash, but there is a little bit of a limit at one point. They should be absolutely ashamed, and the Pelicans franchise and security and staff should be ashamed as well. But the reason I bring this up, and I know I probably sound like a softie and all that. I'm sure Pelicans fans probably want to destroy me in the comments, but Jay Crowder, I'll have to retweet it. He's literally talking to the media wearing that shirt. Devin Booker, I don't know, somehow Jarrett Jack got hold of it and he gave it to Booker, and then Booker like ran into the locker room with it, probably for motivation, to be honest. So do you got any thoughts on that, or anything in terms of like fans doing that stuff? Like what do you think, man?
Well, first of all, you blew my mind saying Jarrett Jack. Like,
Yeah,
I
he's
didn't didn't know he was an
one of our
assistant on
coaches.
the.
Yeah.
Didn't know he's an assistant on the Suns.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, he was with the
The big
Big
three.
Three,
Yeah.
and then he went to the G League, I think, after that or something. I don't know. But anyways,
Duke could probably still be playing.
oh, he could. He was playing good in the Big Three.
Yep.
But anyways, so like, obviously with those shirts, I'm sure like they probably had like a sweatshirt or something on over it. Like they had to. They're not going to do like a full
Yeah.
body check or anything like that. I know at the Bulls games, like they check for your vaccine cards, but like they're not going to
Right.
like, all right, like what do you got under there, and like make you lift your shirt. So that's how they got in. Whether I think it's right or not, I mean, I don't think it is either. It's just like you said, it's kind of childish, and like you said, like it was kind of weird. Um, like they were, saying like FJ Crowder, like on the shirts,
Yep.
and then like saying F Chris Paul, and then at the end, like they were all. It seemed like a lot of the fans were like sympathetic towards him, and like they kind of like gave him a little ovation, like even when he was doing his post game press conference. I mean, we even saw like I don't know if you saw like in today's game as well, like Raptor fans were fine all game, and then like they got down 20, and then they start saying F Embiid, F Embiid, like that just it looks awful. But then there's
Yeah.
also like weird fans like the Timberwolves people who like, glue themselves to the floor and like run
Those
out on the court.
protesters that aren't proving
Yeah,
anything.
yeah, like for like the animal farm thing. It's
And
like,
I'm not even trying to talk politics or whatever. It's true. They're
yeah,
not
like,
proving anything by doing that.
yeah, like that's just so weird. Like, why would you even get a seat on the first floor? First of all, a seat on the first floor of a playoff game, it doesn't matter if it's Minnesota. Like,
Right.
I know that's probably lower scale, but then like if I went to a Bulls game, but like it's still gonna cost like a lot.
Right.
And to do that just to what, like glue yourself, like that's weird. So these fans, like, I don't know, something needs to be done, unfortunately, because people can't control themselves anymore and they can't
Facts.
actually just be normal, which sucks because, you know, see, for me, it's like, I mean, I've told you before, you know, actually current Phoenix Sun, Torrey Craig, when he played on the Denver Nuggets,
Mhm.
and, I got to like, high five him and stuff. And I thought like, you know what? Oh, that was so cool. Like it was before the game. I think when they played the Pacers, and moments like that, like before the game, like getting to interact with someone or getting someone to like sign your sneakers or your jersey or something, like they're gonna probably take that stuff away if the fans keep acting like idiots because
Exactly.
who
And it's
knows, like,
gotten worse since the pandemic and since like they started letting fans back in. I think fans can think they can do whatever they like. Remember the Trey Young, the spitting or whatever? And
yeah.
like
And I don't
that's
wanna I don't wanna give fans ideas by this, but, like, we see them doing it, like, during the game when there's, like, tons of security on high alert and there's, like, officials and stuff. But, like I even said, like, with pregame, like, when people are, like, warming up, shooting around, and there's, like, nobody there, like, I feel like that would almost be, like, a prime opportunity for people to do stuff like that, and people have before, just not as often or whatever. But, yeah, like, I don't know, like the fans, they're kind of like ruining. They're kind of ruining it. Like
yeah, it's getting bad, man. I just
I
think
hate to look at the camera and be like, it's your guys' fault,
right.
but in a way, yeah.
No, I mean, I just think fans need to be better, man. They got to respect our game, respect our players. And again, you can troll and you can like, talk a little bit of smack, and chant and everything, but just be somewhat respectful, man. This is getting ridiculous. But I will say it is kind of a massive W that Jay Crowder got that shirt and is wearing it, literally giving the middle finger to whoever made those shirts and to the fans who are chanting that stuff. And Allie LaForce, by the way, I don't know, you know who Allie LaForce is, right?
Hmm.
She does great work, in my opinion. She told this great story about. I'm probably I'm I don't know the full details. She basically just told the story about how Chris Paul was very impactful in basically saving basketball in New Orleans. And that was where I went back to this one tweet that I tweeted. I was like, whoever was saying F Chris Paul should be ashamed of themselves, man. Like they clearly don't know New Orleans history with Chris Paul and all that. And just basketball fans that do this kind of stuff should be ashamed. And I'm
I
not trying to
mean,
sound like a Debbie Downer or a little crybaby, but I'm just being real, man. Like I love this game, I always will, and fans need to be better, man.
like personally for me, like I've never been one to even like heckling like that first of all, even heckling in any way at a player just seems like stupid because like you're over there on the sidelines and like these guys are making millions. They're
Yeah.
playing a game that they're way better than you at. Like,
Can I
you know,
interrupt you real quick? Devin
go
Booker said
ahead.
it personally. He's like, these people that compare me to Kobe are like sitting on their couches at home. He said something like that. Like it
Yeah,
was
like those guys
hilarious.
aren't gonna face him.
Yeah,
Now
exactly.
maybe the Raptors mascot, but
Yeah.
yeah. But no,
I
I
actually
think
thought that stuff was kind of funny.
yeah, it
And
was.
I love Devin Booker, but I thought that stuff was actually kind of funny.
What wasn't it against the Bulls or like Benny the Bull? Like I think it was in our game, like the Bulls Suns, and Benny the Bull was going at him, and then they had like security take him off or something like that.
And that stuff, that's fun. You can do that kind of stuff, but like,
Yeah,
uh,
but like what I was saying too is that like I've never. I never really believe in like heckling a player or anything like that, but like, see, I can understand why like maybe they don't like Chris Paul because like the way that he went
yeah,
out in 2011, like kind of forced his way out to LA, originally to the Lakers, didn't work out, went to the Clippers, like that makes sense, but like and even, like, booing him and stuff, like, that's fine if they
Yeah, that's
want,
fine.
but,
Yeah,
like, because
yeah.
it's like, okay, like, for one,
You're
he's on the
cheering
other
for
team.
your team. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw someone say that, like, on Twitter the other day, like, in the Bulls-Bucks series, and they're like, "What are you booing Giannis for?" And I'm like, first of all, he's
He's not on my
he's
team.
not on my team. I like, right now, I don't care. Like, now I'll be like, "Cool." Like, if Giannis does this,
Yeah,
cool. But,
because
like, when
he's
he's
not playing
playing the
your
Bulls,
Bulls. Yeah.
I don't like Giannis when he's playing
Yep.
the Bulls. Um, and then, like, a lot of people even brought up that I don't know if you saw that old clip, like, of him in 2015 when he got when we played the Bucks and, like, when we had, like, Rose, Jimmy, and Gasol, and we blew him out that game.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then Giannis, he got ejected. I don't know if you remember this. Like, he came in and slammed into Dunleavy. Yeah,
That's a name I haven't heard in a while.
he slammed into Mike Dunleavy. He made a 3, got fouled, and then Giannis got ejected, and we blew him out by, like, 54 that
Damn.
game. I'll have to send you I might
Yeah,
send it
send
to you
me
on
all
Twitter
that.
or something. Um,
Um, I just wanted to say I love Daniel's comment here. Pretty soon we'll be watching the games behind glass like hockey. I mean, obviously that's not going to happen, but I agree that it might come down to that one day if the fans keep this bullshit up, man. Because I don't know, but and then, like Shot Chucker says, and this Devin Booker's tweeted this one time, you can't talk ball with everyone, and I don't know, man.
yeah,
I,
people
I
are
think it's
weird.
funny though. Like the Suns are advancing the second round of the series. I feel like we haven't really talked about the game that much, but this game's kind of easy to sum up, man. I mean, like we talked about Chris Paul's brilliance. We talked about how like unbalanced this game was, but there kind of was just a lot to this series, and I feel like that's kind of what we've really recapped in this show. And once again, thanks to everybody that's been in here and that is watching, and you guys are all the real ones. And like Sawbuck says right here, fans have the right to cheer or boo. Using profanity, being personal, being obscene should never be tolerated. Exactly. In the
Yeah,
NBA, during the games on the broadcast and in at the actual games, they said like any like behavior X, Y, and Z will result in like ejection and fines and arrests and all that. But clearly, they don't have enough security for that or something like that. But anyways, that's my rant on the fans. Can I exhale now? Okay. So we're kind of freestyling here. Is there anything you want to talk about before we get to our MVP of the game, which I'm pretty sure a lot of people know who that already is? But anything else you want to talk about in terms of this game?
um, nah, nah, I don't know, not really. I mean, Mikal Bridges turned up the last few games. I
Yes.
knew he'd
We
have
haven't
a
even talked about Mikal Bridges in this game. Thank you for bringing him up.
I felt, confident that he'd, turn up in the past few so he averaged, let's see, so 26 points a game in the last, game 5 and game 6, so, I mean, and he played, I think, pretty good defense on Brandon Ingram tonight.
Can I read you his numbers this postseason? And I think they're updated because it says 5 games. 41 minutes average this series, 54% shooting, 46% from three. That's huge. 17 points per game. Only about 3 fouls, 2.8, 1.8 blocks, 2.8 assists, and 4.8 rebounds. Mikal Bridges. And then tonight, he had 44 minutes, 7 for 12 from the field, 18 points. And, like you said, did all he could on Brandon Ingram. And you can't stop Brandon Ingram. That's just a fact. But yeah, Mikal Bridges was absolutely incredible. Thank you for bringing him up because he
You know,
deserves a lot of credit.
you know what I think happened is I think, Brandon Ingram and, Mikal Bridges both together because I mean, they kinda got a similar build. They both absorbed the powers this postseason of Kevin Durant.
Right?
He got thunderstruck again.
I remember watching that movie and it was so bad it was good.
I went everywhere looking for that because it was supposed to come out in theaters near me, and then
Yep.
they didn't, and then it was, I went everywhere looking for it. I got it, like, 2 years later, like, by
I kind
then,
of just want
like,
to
so much
buy
had
it just
changed.
because I have like a basketball collection movie. I kind of just want to buy that just to say that I have it.
I was watching it, and I think I mean, I think I did get through it, the full thing eventually, but the first time I watched it, I fell asleep. Like, I'm like, "Oh my
I just
god."
remember just watching it, just being tuned out and just being like, okay.
Yeah,
um,
mid-movie.
Speaking of Brandon Ingram becoming the next Kevin Durant, Stat Moose, I absolutely love Stat Moose. I think they do great work. They tweeted out Brandon Ingram in his first career playoffs, 27 points per game, although it felt like he averaged 30, 6.2 rebounds, 6.2 assists on 48, 41, and 83 shooting splits. That's insane, man. He is
Yeah.
a really good, and I said this in I think my one of my last videos. That dude, even though he's like kind of skinny and stuff, he takes contact, man. He got hurt a couple of times and he would just get right back up. That dude can play, man. I see why Reliable Rants is that's it. That's his favorite player.
Yeah, well, I mean, former Laker 2 for 1, but, yeah, I mean, it's kind of a good thing I got my account like, a new account now because StatMuse blocked my old one.
They blocked you?
They
What?
blocked me. I don't know what it was.
I'm like their
Um,
biggest fan, man.
I think I said, like, "We don't care, LMAO," or something, and then
I do know they shut off their comments for a while, like people responding to them.
Yeah,
Probably
I
because they
mean
just troll, the trolls and all that.
they're
But
fine, but sometimes they can be cringe. Like, I don't know. You ever see that tweet where like they posted the thing with Jimmy Butler, like holding that paper, and it's like we've been
yeah,
experiencing some weird kind. Like, it's like, what are you doing? Like, you look weird. But
look
yeah,
at Shot Chucker's comment. That's all I'm gonna say about the fans. That's all. I'll just end it at that. But anyways,
uh,
um,
yeah.
so I want to end the stream. And again, before we end this, guys, we got some other things we do want to talk about. But if you guys have any questions, we'll keep this going. But I do want to kind of get to our pretty obvious MVP of the game. I wish I had a cool drop like my guys over at the Suns Jam Session podcast do. So I got a really tough question for you, Super Mario. Who's your MVP of the game?
Well, I think it's got to be Landry Sham. No, I'm just
You
kidding.
got your boy Landry Shaman. Did he
My
even play
man,
tonight?
he
I,
dropped a mean 0.
oh, 12 minutes. Oh, 12 minutes 0 for 2. Oh God.
He knew I was watching.
Yep, he
Um,
knew.
he knew I was gonna talk about it after the game. But anyways, so yeah, it's gotta be Chris Paul. Like,
Yeah, it has to be.
yeah.
Shamit is my MVP, obvious choice. No, it's Chris Paul. I think we pretty much spent a bunch of the stream doing that. But anybody on the Pelicans who was the MVP of the game? Brandon Ingram, maybe?
Uh,
Larry Nance? We talked about him a little bit.
yeah, I mean it probably would be Larry Nance, I think.
He played good, man.
I mean, Ingram did have 11 assists, but he did have, like, 6 turnovers. He didn't really feel like a night where he was dominating. Like, it seemed like
Yeah.
he did miss, like, more open shots than we've seen him in recent games. Like I said, CJ McCollum was playing like freaking two-faced, like, all game long.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like, he was, hurt like I said, he was hurting both teams. But I don't know, like Larry Nance obviously had a great game, killing the offensive rebounds. The Pelicans also like I think Herb Jones played well, but like I think really Trey Murphy is kind of underrated. Like, well,
Yeah.
he won't
He
be my underrated
struggled a
player of the
little
game,
bit
but
this series, but he's a good player, man. He earned my respect this series. Not that I
they
disrespected
said
him or anything,
they
but
said something like the first few games, I think he played a lot and
yeah.
I think they were outscoring the Suns by like I don't remember what it was, but they were outscoring him by a decent margin when he was on the floor as opposed to when he wasn't. So I don't know. And he's led all rookies this year in like 3-point percentage too. So
Yeah, he's a good player, man. I like how you said like they're probably gonna lock those three up, man. I mean they're still under their rookie deals and everything, but if they can follow up and have great sophomore seasons, all three of those guys, they're gonna lock them up. I feel like we've kind of already talked about this, but do you have an underrated player of the game? I don't know why I said underrated game, but you guys get my point. For me, probably Larry Nance Jr. And I just feel like he's a really good fit with that team. And Trey Murphy, I guess you could throw in there. 22 minutes, 4 for 7 shooting, 4 threes. Might have all been threes if I'm correct. 12 points. And I'm looking on the Suns. Cam Johnson. Can I get your quick thoughts on Cam Johnson this series? I don't know if it was maybe defensive pressure. I feel like he kind of struggled, but I feel like at the same time he would have games where he would have 13 points, and he was aggressive at times. What did you see from Cam Johnson? And I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, but like, what did you see from him this series?
I mean, he was kind of mid.
Yeah,
Honestly.
he
I
wasn't the
mean,
Cam Johnson we saw this season that was like what, third or second and sixth man of the year voting.
mhm. I don't. Did they come out with that? Yeah, I mean, I'm
They
sure he
did,
got.
yeah. He was like second or third in
I,
sixth man of the year voting.
yeah. So I mean, yeah. I mean, he was still playing okay. I think like the main thing is like he's primarily like a spot up shooter in the offense. I mean, we saw like moments this year like where he can take over if need be, like against the Knicks, for example. Like that was probably his biggest game.
Yeah, it
Um,
was.
but yeah, I think like
Excuse me.
I don't know, like he simply just like I guess wasn't hitting as many threes as normal, so maybe it seemed like he wasn't doing much.
He
But yeah, I
sort of got
mean
in
he was
foul
okay.
trouble at times as well, and just would kind of play himself out of the game. Monty kind of has a tendency to do that, especially if he's like 0 for 5. He'll pull him. I don't know. I
I
wouldn't do that because at one point I was like, I know this sounds stupid, but let Cam Johnson shoot 20 shots. I don't care. Just let him keep shooting. So
yeah.
I don't know. But
Yeah, I think like for me, like probably I mean we already kind of said it, but probably my underrated player of the game would be Mikal Bridges.
yeah,
Just because like I mean, not
he
only
just
does he have to play like almost the most of anyone, like he already has that assignment, but he was hitting all his shots. Like he had that one shot too. I don't even know how he did it. Like he dribbled through 4 guys and then he was like fading away off balance, like almost over
yep,
the backboard, like over 3 guys and it hit nothing but net. And I was like,
yep.
geez, like this guy,
Dude,
this guy's insane.
his offensive growth is just incredible. And I'm not saying he's going to be like the next two-way superstar, but it's just I've said this a lot. I think I even tweeted you this. Like, if he scores 17 to 20 points a game, we win a lot of games. That is a
Yeah.
proven fact.
Yeah.
And
They
you
are.
called it when he had that huge game. What was the stat?
I said he'd have at least 24 points, but
Yeah.
he had 24 in the second half.
And he had
And then,
18
yeah.
tonight.
Yeah.
And it's just like you kind of described. It's the way that he's doing it. Like dry. He's one of the best cutters, if not the best cutter in the game. He's super aggressive on offense. He can hit that corner three. It just his growth, and I use that word a lot, growth, because like 2 years ago he wasn't really doing this. He could score, but not the way we've seen it this past season, and maybe even a little bit last year. Like I love Mikal Bridges, man. I gotta get like a Mikal Bridges jersey up here because he's incredible, man.
15 and 2 when he scores 20 points in a
Let's
game this
go.
year. 16, I think, if you count playoffs.
On that note, though, um, we're gonna kind of wrap up the show a little bit here. So do you have any hot takes or predictions? It can be Suns related, it can be NBA playoffs related, even off season, any off season stuff. If you guys have any final questions you want us to talk about, and I'm gonna put you on the spot, we're gonna have a little special segment that's gonna be all about your Chicago Bulls. So get ready. But yeah,
Oh, great.
any hot takes or predictions that you got going for the rest of the playoffs?
Um, I think a hot take would be all right, I'm gonna go. I think I got a few. The first one I'm leaning towards is that the Heat are gonna easily dismantle the Sixers. Easily.
Don't tell that to our guy Rom
I
2.0.
I just think they will.
Oof.
I just don't trust the Sixers. I mean, the Heat, like, I mean, this. I don't know if this is really a hot take or just a bold take or something, but I don't even know if it's that bold. But I don't know. Like to me, Jimmy Butler has been the best player in the playoffs so far this year.
For the
Um,
Heat or in general?
no, just I think Jimmy Butler's been the best player in the playoffs.
Ooh, okay.
Um, and I mean, he's gonna be so animated, and like when he goes back to Philly, because I mean that was the last team
Yeah.
that had him, and like how close they were to even beating Toronto and stuff that one year. So I think the Heat will probably win in like 5 that series, which I feel like is kind of bold because the
That's a
Sixers
bold
were up
take.
there for a while. I think Oladipo will have another game like that too, like he kind of did the end of this series. I think he'll have at least a game like that where he kills it. And then my bold take about the Chicago Bulls is I don't think they trade Nikola Vucevic. I don't know if that's really a bold take from
As somebody who's
the
a
name.
fan of Nikola Vucevic, I think that's a smart idea.
I mean, like he played well to me in the playoffs. Regular season he was disappointing almost the whole way through. But I think he did step it up in the playoffs, and I don't think that they will trade him. Probably another bold or hot take is that they won't fire Billy Donovan, sadly. But it is what
Since
it is.
since you're talking about the Bulls, and I don't mean to interrupt your hot takes and bold predictions, but this was that surprise segment I wanted to talk to you about. You know what, Super Mario? I know that the Bulls got eliminated recently, so you're now the Chicago Bulls therapy session. So just let it all out, man. Let's talk about the Bulls for a couple of minutes. How do you feel now that the Bulls have been eliminated, and what would you like to see them do in the offseason? Or what are Bulls fans thinking, man? Like, what's going on in the Bulls world?
Well, I see a lot of Bulls fans that are saying don't give Zach Levine the max contract. Like, I don't know what you think about that, but
Sounds
for
like
me, like, I don't like.
sounds like Suns fans sometimes.
Yeah, like I have no problem giving him a max contract. The guy
I
is
like Zach Levine a
he
lot.
just turned 27 years
Mhm.
old for one, so a max contract would go till he's like 32 or so. He just had like, a knee procedure in
Yep.
January, and he was playing great before then. Like he was
Excuse
he
me.
was going to be all NBA team before then. People forget about that. Like when they had all MVP ladders, like they had DeMar, so like 5 or 6. They had Levine around like 8 or 9. Like that
At
or
one point, DeMar DeRozan was the MVP of the league.
yeah, like he was up there like top 4 or so.
Yeah.
But people forget about Zach Levine too, because I mean, he's not going to make an All NBA team this year now, but he would have, I think, if he would have stayed healthy. And they forget, like before that too, like where were the Bulls in January? Right where the
One of the
Suns were,
best.
the
Yeah.
first seed in the East in the
That's what I was going to
conference.
say.
So it's like I feel like let him recover in the offseason, let Lonzo Ball come back.
You
I
know he's
think
going to work his ass off too. If I know Zach
yeah,
Levine like I think I do, he's going to be in the gym like every day.
I think Lonzo Ball was huge. Like,
Yeah.
see, the more I thought about it, I'm like, well, Lonzo's not like that energy guy, really. Like, he's not that guy that's gonna like fire up everyone. So like maybe like I don't know if he's the key. Like, I thought it was kind of Caruso, but the more I thought about it, it's like he's one of the best 3-point shooters on our team now. And he's also one of the best defenders. And when they had a guy like Grayson Allen and, obviously Drew Holiday, but Pat Connaughton and all these guys that were just lighting us up, like we had no one that could stop them because everyone was so worried about Giannis and no one could like get out there. So I don't know. I think
Lonzo Ball and really Caruso's injury. And I don't want to use the injuries are the reason you guys lost, but I really do believe that's the case. And
oh,
again, it's a new team, everything's still coming together, but uh, you guys just had a lot of bad luck. And I
and
feel bad, man, because the Bulls were really damn good.
let me pull up my favorite tweet of the season too. Um this is on December 30th of 2021 and Woj had said the NBA had postponed the Golden State Denver game. Sources tell ESPN Nuggets don't have 8 players. I don't know if you remember that.
That was those dark COVID days.
Yeah. So someone named Eric O'Connor, at Eric O'Connor 94 on Twitter, says Adam Silver's golden circle, the Miami Heat, the Denver Nuggets, the Brooklyn Nets, and the Chicago Bulls. And that made me so mad. Like I kid you not. This is the only tweet I've remembered all year long because that made me so mad. Like this was at the point where there were, I think, 24 players out for COVID,
Yeah.
and 11 of them were on the Chicago Bulls.
Yep. I remember that.
Okay. So
Uh-huh.
how in the world are we in the golden circle? And then you see at the end there, like we got kind of the Clipper treatment with how Paul George got COVID before the playing game. Like Zach
Yeah.
LaVine randomly gets COVID before the last game, and then Caruso's out, and then
Yep.
Vucevic had like a head injury. He probably has a concussion. They didn't
Yep.
even check him for it, but I don't know if you saw like early in that game, uh, 5 the other night, like he hit his head like hard on the floor.
Yeah.
So it's like, what do you expect us to do?
If you guys are wondering why we're talking so much about the Bulls, because my guest here, Super Mario Hoops 24, go check out his content on YouTube. He's the biggest one of the biggest Bulls fans I know. So keep going. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I think in the summer we're gonna need guys that are dependable. I feel like for me personally, like coming into the playoffs, I kind of had a feeling that Kobe White wouldn't be as bad as people said. Because every Bulls fan, I don't know how much you see this, but every Bulls fan like hates Kobe. Like they hated on Lowry Markkanen all the time in the past few years, and then they hated on Kobe all the
Like how
time.
Suns fans hate Elfrid Payton.
Yeah. But like I don't get it. Like, yeah, I know Kobe can be like up and down and stuff. Like he has his moment, but like when he's on fire, like
Yeah.
he's on fire. And I think like
Didn't
now
he
he's
hit
gonna,
like 8 threes as a rookie?
yeah.
I heard great
So
things about him coming out of college too.
I just think like we shouldn't trade him necessarily. I mean, like he's not untouchable, like or
Yeah.
anything like that.
But
But
maybe hang on to him just a little. Don't be like the Suns
yeah,
and just give up on their young guys.
but I think you know some of
Or
our
maybe
guys.
you should, because the Suns are a contender. So
Yeah,
not saying the Bulls aren't a contender.
give them to the Bulls.
Mhm.
But nah, I think like for me, it's like some of these guys that just can't be dependent on offensively gotta go. It was so weird because we actually played really good defense in the Bucks series. Like I thought we played pretty good, even though it's like Grayson Allen got like 27, like Drew Holiday got 26. I thought we played good defense
Yeah.
because we did just about as much. I think the first like 3.5 games, like Giannis was having like troubles, even though the stats won't show it. Like he was clearly like having a problem. Had a lot of like offensive fouls. He was getting flustered. The first 2 games we really outplayed the Bucks, and if we didn't have a total bad shooting night in game 1, we would have been up 2-0 in that series.
Wow.
We would have been.
Yeah.
I think our big 3 shot 21 of 71, and we lost game 1 by 7. And we were only down 3 with like 20 seconds left. Like a few more shots go in, we win that game, and we won game 2. So I don't know, like it would have been a much closer series and stuff like that, but I don't know. Like it's just kind of weird. People like I think though Javonte Green, I respect how he hustles like on every single play, but I just don't know if he's the guy for the team. He passes up way too many shots.
Right.
Like they're like I get it, like maybe he's trying to get like the best shot, but like we were passing up sometimes great looks for worse looks. I think game 5 we did better. We just couldn't hit anything. And Tristan Thompson's gotta go. Like he's almost to the level of like Tony Bradley.
Your boy Tony Bradley.
Yeah, which I won't talk too much about him because I mean he only played 1 game. He played like a few minutes in the series, but he technically was the 4th leading scorer on the team because he dropped like 10 points in that short time.
Wait, Tony Bradley or Tristan Thompson?
Tony Bradley. Let me see if I can find it, but yeah. So, and I think, like I said, Billy Donovan, he's got to go. Like I don't know if there's any other Bulls fans in here like that maybe are pro Billy Donovan, but he's got to go. Okay, like this guy. First of all, this guy freaking had Chris Paul, and he still lost in the first round. He had Russell Westbrook and Paul George and Carmelo Anthony, and he lost to a rookie in the first round. He lost to the Blazers, who were missing their center. You know, his coaching game plan made Enes Kanter look like an elite defender.
So Enes freedom.
He always is playing these dudes that don't belong in the rotation. He did the same thing with Kyle Singler when they had the Warriors down 3-1.
I haven't heard in a long time.
He did the same thing with Raymond Felton when he was like the size of like I don't even know, like, a city. And then freaking, um, he did the same thing, like, with some of these other guys, like, with, the CP3 team and Gallinari team in OKC, and now he's doing it again. Um, did it all year long with guys like Matt Thomas and Tony Bradley, still doing it with Javonte Green, and his game plan just sucks. His
Yeah.
game plan just sucks. Like, his plan, I don't know if I told you this, but his game plan for the series was to attack Drew Holiday at will, like him defensively.
Right.
Like, I've never seen a coach that said, we're just gonna try and get the switch and we're gonna try and isolate on Drew Holiday every single time, an all league defender, a guy that got defensive player of the year shares. Like, I've never seen that. We're terrible against the zone, and our game plan in the fourth quarter to win games is 2 words. It's called DeMar DeRozan. Like, that's not like, I get it. DeRozan was great this year. I think he was the leader in clutch points or something, or like clutch points per game or something. I don't know, something like that. But we're not going to win games like that because they're just going to throw like an elite defender double team at us. And then it causes these other guys to have to take open shots that they literally can't make. Um, puts too much pressure on us. So he's got to go. I honestly think our assistant coach, Chris Fleming, is the guy.
That
Like,
name
we had
sounds
him.
familiar too. Where do I know
Yeah,
that name from?
we had him when Billy Donovan was out, like, with COVID, and
Yeah.
we that's when we went on our, like, 8-game winning streak this year. That's when DeMar DeRozan hit his, like, back-to-back game winners. You know, that was, like, the peak of our season, really. Like, I don't know.
I keep talking about Willie Green. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I
No, you're
remember
good.
there was one game last season when Monty, believe it or not, Monty Williams actually got ejected, and Willie Green drew up some plays and won us a game. Sometimes assistant coaches do that, man. A lot of these
Tyronn Lue
assistant,
did it
yep,
for Doc Rivers
a lot of
and
these
Clippers.
assistant coaches deserve a chance to coach, man. So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean, best of luck to your Bulls in the off season,
yeah.
man. I'm glad that you were able to vent and let that all out. Um, I think you guys will be just fine if you guys keep building off of this core that you got. Resign Zach LaVine, maybe address the coaching, even though I do like Billy Donovan. But if I were a bigger Bulls fan, I'd probably agree with you. But keep
Chris
building your
Fleming, I
guys'
think, is the
core.
guy.
Yeah. And we'll see what happens, man. Maybe we'll talk more about the Bulls in future live streams. But I appreciate your insight, and it's always good to see what's going on with other teams. And but yeah, I mean, I think that's it. Shout out to my guy. We all call him Carter, but his real name's Jonathan. It's one of my longest, oldest friends. I basically consider him family. He says, "Congrats to the Suns advancing." It's Carter. Props to the Pelicans for giving the Suns a run for their money without Zion Williams, which is true. Looking forward to the round 2 games. And really, guys, shout out to everybody that's in here. We talked all about this game in detail. We got some hot takes and predictions. We had a huge Bulls therapy session. And once again, I thank everybody that's in here. And thank you to Super Mario Hoops for being here. Any final thoughts, man? Anything you got just
I
to end
got
the show? Whoa, my screen's going all over the place. Sorry.
I have one question for you, because
Yeah, go for it.
now the series is over, but let's say Devin Booker didn't come back in this series, but the Pelicans somehow won. But obviously, like won the series, but obviously, like, without Booker, even though, like, the Pelicans are missing, like, Zion this year, like, I guess, what would your reaction have been if they did lose, even though they wouldn't have had Booker? Like, would you have been like, oh, we were without Booker? Would you still have been like, we should have won? You know what I mean?
I had some Pelicans fans after game 4, with all due respect to Pelicans fans, because some of them are pretty cool. When me and Reliable Rants did that little video, I got a lot of positive feedback on that video, but some people were trolling me. They're like, oh, you got blind faith in your team, and you're saying Suns in 6 because you're blah, blah, blah. So what's your question again? Like, are you asking if they didn't have
So,
Devin Booker and we lost, what would my
like,
thoughts be? Is that what you're saying?
yeah, if Booker didn't come back, like, before the
And we
series
lost.
ended and you lost, like, would you have been more like, oh, he was injured, so it's like,
Wait, lost the
like
series or lost this game?
the series. So it's like,
Oh,
would you have been
oh.
more like, we didn't have him, so it's like, oh well, or more like, we still should have won this. I'm freaking mad.
Probably that last answer, because if game 4 showed me anything, it's that even though you're the best team in the league and you're the number 1 seed, we've seen the Suns take their foot off the pedal lots of times. And sometimes they get overconfident and they beat themselves. And even though I've said this so many times, and I sound stupid every time I say it, but I truly believe this, even though we're the most clutch team in the league, sometimes that's not a good thing. Like, you want to be able to like win games, you know. I don't know. Am I weird for saying that? But
Yeah,
and
I
it
actually
would depend on how they would have lost the series. Like, let's say they lost game 6 tonight the same way they lost game 4. I would just be disappointed. And
right.
sure, I would probably use the Booker thing as an excuse, but I'd be like, the Suns didn't do X, they didn't do Y and Z, and I would just be straight up disappointed. And I don't really say that word a lot. I try not to, anyways. And when I do, it's because I'm calling out my own team that I've been watching for years and covering on this channel for years. So if that answers your question, but yeah, that was a great question.
Yeah, I don't know. I forget what I was gonna say, but
I would just be disappointed and I would be
yeah,
heartbroken. See, like in your case, because you have some great reasons to be upset with how the bowl season finished, but like the Suns are a different story, man. And just with the past 10 years and everything, and not having a championship to our name, and if the
yeah.
Suns were to have lost this series,
I think for me, like the only thing I didn't like about this season for the Bulls is that like we were in first for so long.
mm-hmm.
Like if you probably total the number of days that someone was the first seed in the East, I bet we have the most days of any team. And then the fall to 6 like that, that that's the thing
You
that
guys
hurt.
just
But
had some bad luck, man.
yeah, like I feel like if we were 5th or 6th like all year long and we ended 6 and lost in the first round, like it would have been more okay in a way. But
Yeah.
yeah, like I don't know, like I'd probably feel upset about like because obviously like losing as a 1 seed like would be tough. No one's done it since my Bulls did. Like, but that was also like when Rose tore his ACL, which fun fact, that's 10 years ago today that happened.
Didn't you make a video about that? Did I see that you uploaded that?
I did. I told my story of like what I was doing that day because I remember it. I remember it. Man, tough day.
Just like I
Tough day.
remember when Paul George had that horrific leg injury. I filmed a vlog that night, and this was way before I was like Suns Geek, and this was a long time ago.
Yeah,
Um,
I think I was
yeah,
in vacation somewhere because I remember
I
watching
will
it in some
never forget
hotel
that, man.
TV. But
Yeah,
yeah.
I'll never forget when Derrick Rose dunked on Goran Dragic. I'll never
Oh
forget
yeah.
that.
Do you ever remember do you remember when he hit the game winner on Mikal Bridges though? Or no? That was like 3 years ago.
2019, was he with the Pistons
He was
then?
with the Wolves.
Ooh, I don't remember that. And I
I'll see if
usually
I
remember game winners against the Suns, like when DeMarcus Cousins did it
I'll see
twice,
if
I
I can
think.
send it to you through
Yeah, send me
Twitter.
that. Um,
Um
but as we're ending the show, you guys, thank you to everybody that came out. I'm gonna do my best to do more consistent live streams. Like I said, sometimes just real life gets in the way. Shout out to my guest, Super Mario Hoops. Thank you to everybody that was in here. Um, and again, I will do my best to do more streams. And the Phoenix Suns are going to the second round. I don't think it's hit me yet because this series was a lot. The series
yeah.
really kind of took a lot out of me. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm happy that they won. And yeah, that's basically it. That's all I got, man. So make sure to Hulk smash the like button, you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are all amazing people. Thank you to my guy Cody for the $5 super chat earlier. And shout out to my guy Carter and Aaron and all of you guys. You guys are all incredible. Um, and yeah, thank you for I saw somebody mention your little bowls thing here. I like the dope stream, love the conversations, even about the bowls. Well, thank you, man. It's a nice comment. We appreciate that, man. Maybe like I said,
Appreciate
we'll
the
do
swag.
more of this. Next time I have you on, maybe we'll do another therapy session for another team and see what they can do during the off season. So, all righty, you guys, thanks for joining. Stay tuned for more Suns content. Somebody said that they saw, or it was like posted that the Suns were working out after the game. So definitely stay tuned for more Suns content, you guys. We're going to see who wins the Suns and Mavs, or not Suns and Mavs, Jazz and Suns series, although it could be Suns and Mavs.
Already speaking into existence.
Yeah, I'm like, we'll end the show on this just real quick. Who you got, Jazz or Mavs?
I haven't looked at the score. I got the score covered on my thing, so okay. I don't even want to know.
All right, never mind.
But I think tonight, I think the Jazz will win tonight, and the Mavericks will win Game 7.
All right. I kind of knew that series would go 7. I just had a feeling.
Yeah, hopefully Donovan Mitchell's playing good today,
because he had a hamstring injury too, which sucks.
Yeah, he didn't play good the last game. That was the worst I think I've ever seen him play in a playoff game. So.
All right, guys, we'll see what happens. Stay tuned for more content. I love you guys. And as always, make sure to Hulk smash that like button and please subscribe for everything Phoenix Suns. If it has to deal with the Phoenix Suns, I'm going to make a video about it. Check out my guest Super Mario Hoops 24 channel. I'll link it in the description after the stream, and I will see you guys next time.